You've heard it 1,000 times. Practice makes perfect. Put in your 10,000 hours. The more reps, the stronger the skill. But what if that entire framework is wrong? I'm going to tell you about a study that quietly overturned 125 years of learning theory, and it changes how we should think about studying, habit formation, even addiction treatment. Picture this. 2 groups of mice. Same task, same reward, same total training time, but one group learns in 1/10 the number of trials. 1/10. The only difference? How long they waited between each learning opportunity, not how many times they practiced, how much time passed between practices. This isn't a small effect. It's not incremental. It's a complete inversion of how we've thought about learning since Pavlov's dogs. Let me take you back to 1897. Ivan Pavlov is in his laboratory in St. Petersburg, and he notices something unexpected about the dogs he's studying. The dogs start salivating before food arrives. Just the sound of his assistant's footsteps is enough. The dogs have learned to associate one thing with another. From that moment, psychology adopted a simple model. More pairings equals stronger learning. Ring the bell, give the food, repeat enough times, and the association sticks. This became the foundation. The Rescorla-Wagner model in the 1950s formalized it. Learning was trial and error. Stack up enough trials and you build an expectation. Think about how this shows up everywhere. Flashcard apps that track repetitions. Language programs promising fluency after 10,000 words. Skill coaches counting practice sessions. The assumption running underneath all of it? Do more reps, learn faster. Practice more frequently, get better quicker. It seemed obvious. Then came February 2026. A team at UC San Francisco published a paper in Nature Neuroscience that quietly demolished this assumption. Lead researcher Vijay Namboodiri and his team designed an elegant experiment. They trained mice to associate a sound with a reward. Simple Pavlovian conditioning, but with a twist. One group of mice waited 60 seconds between each cue-reward pairing. Another group waited 600 seconds, 10 times longer. Same reward, same association to learn. Here's where it gets interesting. The mice who waited 600 seconds learned the association in roughly 1/10 the number of trials, 10 times fewer repetitions. But, and this is the crucial part, both groups took the exact same total time to learn. Not the same number of trials, the same total elapsed time. Read that again. The brain doesn't count repetitions. It counts time. It's not asking how many times something happened. It's asking how much time passed between rewards. As Namboodiri put it, when rewards occur 10 times farther apart, each reward leads to roughly 10 times more learning. The math is precise, and it's linear. Here's how to think about it. When something rare happens, your brain treats it as significant. When something happens constantly, each instance loses informational weight. The research team didn't just observe behavior, they tracked dopamine neuron activity in real time, and they found the timing mechanism operates directly at the neural level. Dopamine responses scale with inter-reward intervals. The longer the gap between rewards, the stronger each dopamine signal. Your neurons are literally tracking time. Think about what this means for cramming. You're studying for an exam. You've got 8 hours. You can either review the material once per hour or blast through it 20 times in those 8 hours. Traditional logic says 20 repetitions should cement the material more firmly, but this research suggests your brain learns the same amount either way from just 8 spaced reviews. Namboodiri was direct about the implications. This could explain why students who cram for exams don't do as well as those who study throughout the semester. Now, I want to sit with the implications here, because this isn't just about studying for exams. It touches something deeper about how we structure experience. Consider feedback at work, the manager who offers constant microfeedback versus the one who saves it for meaningful moments. Which approach actually changes behavior? Or parenting, the parent who praises every small accomplishment versus the parent who reserves acknowledgement for genuine achievements. Both are well-intentioned, but timing changes the signal. The research has particularly interesting implications for addiction treatment. Understanding how timing affects reward learning could inform new approaches to substance use disorders. Addiction is partly a learning disorder. The brain has learned to associate certain cues with rewards in maladaptive ways. If timing controls that learning, timing might help undo it. There's also a fascinating angle on artificial intelligence here. Current AI systems, including the large language models we hear so much about, are trained through repeated exposure to examples. If biological brains learn more efficiently from spaced, rare events than from dense, frequent ones, could we design AI training that mimics this, potentially using far less computing power? Some researchers urge caution here. Mouse studies don't always translate directly to human learning, which involves additional cognitive processes like conscious reflection and strategic thinking. The study also focused specifically on simple cue-reward associations. Complex skill learning, like playing an instrument or mastering a language, may follow different rules. And there's a practical question worth asking. How do you actually space out rewards in educational or therapeutic contexts without making the whole process impractically slow? Still, the fundamental insight holds. As Namboodiri summarized, what really drives reward-based learning is how much time passes between rewards, not how many cue-reward pairings and animal experiences. This overthrows a century-old assumption that associative learning is primarily trial and error, where repeated pairings gradually strengthen expectations. The brain is more sophisticated than that. So, what does this mean practically? First, consider spacing out your learning sessions rather than cramming. The same total study time distributed across days may lead to stronger retention than concentrated sessions. This doesn't mean you should study less. It means the same investment of time, structured differently, might give you dramatically better results. It's not about working less. It's about working with your brain's timing preferences. Here's a thought experiment. Next time you're learning something new, ask yourself, am I stacking repetitions close together because it feels productive, or because it actually works? The research suggests that rare, meaningful feedback may teach more than frequent routine feedback. Quality and timing of rewards might matter more than quantity, something to consider in how you structure practice. And here's something that might shift how you think about habit formation. You might not need to practice more frequently to build a habit faster. The timing between successful attempts may matter more than the count. If you're a parent or teacher, consider this. Occasional well-timed acknowledgement of genuine progress may land harder than constant positive reinforcement. The rarity itself carries signal. The Namboodiri team found something striking about the proportionality. If rewards occur 10 times farther apart, each reward leads to roughly 10 times more learning. The relationship is almost perfectly linear. This invites a reframe. We often measure learning progress by counting reps, tracking sessions, logging hours. But maybe we should be measuring the gaps between meaningful experiences. If you found this perspective shift useful, if you're the kind of person who thinks about how thinking works, hit subscribe. We explore stories like this every week. I'll admit something here. When I first read this study, my immediate thought was, then why does everyone preach daily practice? And I think the answer is subtle. Daily practice may work partly because life naturally spaces your meaningful attempts. Within any practice session, some moments land and others don't. The gaps happen within the hours, not between them. The study also prompts questions about how we've been teaching AI systems. Current models learn from massive, densely packed datasets, billions of examples processed as quickly as possible. If biological intelligence learns more efficiently from sparse, temporally spaced information, maybe there's something fundamental we're missing in how we train machines. Time might matter there too. Of course, neuroscience rarely gives us simple formulas. The real system is more complex. But this study points towards something elegant. The brain may be optimized for a world where meaningful events are rare. Evolution didn't prepare us for flashcard apps and infinite review loops. It prepared us for a world where food was scarce, danger was intermittent, and learning from rare events was survival. Maybe the takeaway isn't to practice less. Maybe it's to pay attention to which moments within your practice actually land, and give your brain time to digest them before stacking on more. This is what I find beautiful about neuroscience. A simple experiment with mice, waiting 60 seconds versus 600 seconds, illuminates something deep about how all of us acquire knowledge. For 125 years, we assumed practice made perfect through repetition. Count the reps. Stack the trials. Build the skill through sheer accumulation. But maybe the brain has always known something simpler. Rare things matter. The space between experiences is where learning happens. Patience might be the skill that underlies all other skills. Not how many times you show up, but what happens in the waiting. That might be the lesson underneath all the lessons.